Ladies and gentlemen, today we have the privilege of speaking with an artist who epitomizes resilience, creativity, and an unyielding commitment to authenticity. Ray Noir, a trailblazer in the dark wave and industrial music scenes, has steadily risen from the fringes of society to a position of influence and admiration. His latest work, the EP Scorpio Redux, is a compelling testament to his artistic vision and personal journey. Ray Noir's music is a raw and unflinching exploration of the human condition, drenched in gritty realities of his life's experiences. As documented, Ray's path has been anything but conventional. From experiencing homelessness and couch surfing, he has poured every ounce of that struggle into his art, creating what Kerrang described as scintillating and intoxicating music that pulsates with passion and the desperation of life on the edge. Behind Ray's polished stage persona lies a swirling ocean of insecurity and struggle, shaped by his journey from an alienated outsider in Norway to a prominent queer figurehead in the UK's alternative scene. His music, influenced by the likes of Nine Inch Nails, Rammstein and She Wants Revenge, merges electro metal, goth swagger and alt pop sensibilities to produce a sound that is both haunting and invigorating. Ray Noir's work is not just music, it's a visceral experience that challenges societal norms and encourages introspection. His EP, Scorpio Redux, is a collection of bruised midnight anthems that not only reflect his personal sacrifices, but also serve as a dark, addictive glimpse into his unique and twisted vision of the world. So without further ado, let's dive into the mind of an artist who fearlessly confronts the darkness within and without, Ray Noir. To anyone that doesn't know, can you tell us a bit about yourself and how you got started in music?
So I'm born in Norway, lived there until I was in my 20s, and then I moved to Paris, lived there for 2 years, moved to London, and that's where it all started, when I moved to London, basically. I used to DJ before, both in Oslo and Paris. It was like, properly getting into music was in London. So it came like, because I used to, also in Norway, I used to tour with bands like Gothmister, Theatre Tragedy, Mortis, and all these people. I used to help them out in tours, and so it's kind of like gave me like a taste of what I want to do and what I want to express. So that was kind of the beginning of my, where I found out what I want to do and how I can do things, you know?
Sure, it's a very big shift from an introduction into like those black metal type of styles and then into your music you do now. How would you describe your music to someone who hasn't heard it before?
I kind of say, if you think Marilyn Manson meets The Prodigy, a bit of Rammstein vibes.
Nice.
That's what I say. If you think of bands, but otherwise, like genre-wise, I would say like it's, even though it's not metal, I say electro metal, because like live, I have like the drums, which makes it more like heavy. And then it has like the alternative goth vibes as well. It's
a very cool mix. Have you heard, I'm taking a slight detour here, have you heard of a band called Project Pitchfork?
Yeah, I love them.
I love them,
actually.
I love them too. So there was
such a tune.
What's the one? We are one mirror split into pieces. That's off the.
I don't know that one.
I'll send it you. It's an absolute banger. So that leads us nicely on to your biggest musical influences and how they shaped your sound.
I kind of discovered music the music I listened to quite late, because my mom and my family was not very musical, so it went in like UB40 and Kim Appleby, Michael Jackson when I was a kid. But then obviously I moved by myself when I was quite young, like 15, and I met some punk rockers there who listen to NoFX, Pennywise, Millencolin, Marilyn Manson,
Nice.
all that stuff. So that kind of like introduced me to the music, and those bands are still my influences, to be honest, like Manson, Rammstein, Hole, Smashing Pumpkins, Placebo, Sisters of Mercy.
Oh yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of these things, but also like I love like electropop. Like I love Robin.
Yes.
I do love Madonna and Lady Gaga, for example.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't?
Yeah, so, you know, like it's a bit of mix of everything, to be honest. Like, but I think that's good though. And I also have the Slipknot, Korn, and all that stuff, the heavier stuff.
Yeah, it's quite a diverse range, and they're certainly great as well if you're a musician, because there's just so many different energies that you pick up on and hear, and all of these nuances, they collectively kind of shape and mold with your personality that comes out when you're composing. So when it comes to Scorpio, what was the creative process? How is it made? How did you approach your songwriting and production on that?
So basically, on Scorpio, I worked with a few different producers, but mainly it was Kanga. She's an American artist producer. She does kind of like electro goth kind of vibe as well. Got introduced to her by my old management. And we just she made like 4 of the songs there. So we were just bouncing ideas forward and back. Then I worked with my co-writer Madeleine Wood, which I worked with like for years. So we are such a good team. So these two, and then I worked with Samantha Tognis, a good friend of mine here in London. She does like techno, so for Tetrodotoxin, she did that. And then Frank Music, I don't know if you heard of him.
I only through your release, but
he was like a Northeast electro artist. He worked with Pet Shop Boys, Erasure and stuff. So he did Double Trouble. That was basically my first song I ever did though. So
So by all means, after this, send me any links to people involved and what have you. I can stick that in the description. And I'm always happy to be educated on who's this person, what did they invent? I love discovering new music. What was the most challenging part of creating this EP, and of course then the Redux version, which has just recently been released?
Yeah, well, the challenging part is, I don't know, it's just getting things right, I guess. But it wasn't really challenging because like this, the story behind Scorpio is basically like my life and like the, depression and all that. So it was kind of like already there, the idea was there, what I wanted to, put out there. I don't know, we were really good teams, to be honest, the people that I worked with, the collaborators, everyone. So it was like it took a while before it came out because of, it cost money.
Oh, sure.
It's probably like, get it funded all and stuff. It was probably the biggest challenge, I would say.
Sure, yeah. Well, none of this stuff comes cheap, but it is an amazing product, a package that you've put together, and as well as auditorially, visually as well. It's a really compelling mix. In my introduction, and because you've just touched on the topic of depression, I know I alluded in my introduction to a period of homelessness and couch surfing. These have obviously been huge obstacles, not just in your life but also in your career. How have you kind of overcome all of that, and what other challenges have really kind of pressured you in the pursuit of your art and music?
So obviously that was kind of a challenge, but it was kind of like I was homeless, couch surfing for like 8 months doing recording of Scorpio. So I had like really nice friends I could stay with, obviously, on the sofa. So I don't know. It was a challenge, and like I don't know. Can you repeat it again? Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. No problem.
Uh,
Let me find where I am on my page. We're both, they're very good at this, aren't we?
yeah.
So yeah, because I jumped across. Yeah, because you. So what other? Well, how did you overcome all of these things like depression, the homelessness, and all these other kind of burdens? They must have kind of threatened to get in the way of your music.
I wouldn't say it would get in the way. I would say like it's kind of like also inspiring me to write about those topics. You know, it's something I still struggle with. You know, like depression and like anxiety and all that stuff. It's something I go through day by day, basically. So it's like kind of giving me the fuel to write, and you know, like I guess. Well, one day I hope I will be healed, but you know, like it's a process. But like the music definitely helps getting it out there and like acknowledging what you're going through. And I hope like also for other people who's like listening and understand where I come from. Also see that it's not don't have necessarily to be such a negative thing. They can also, you know, like at least to talk about. You should be able to talk about it, get some help, and
Yeah. Well,
that is like,
I think mental health is a big topic in the music industry, and I think it's a big topic in today's modern era. We've never been so interconnected digitally, but at the same time disconnected in reality. And it's commendable that you, whilst suffering the things of depression and mental health issues, but you've also had the courage to draw upon that and use it in your music. I find that very commendable, and I think that sends a positive message to other musicians. As a side point, I'm totally on board with all of this. I'm a composer myself, borderline personality disorder, so I'm a cousin to these things.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's you know, like we need to be there for each other. You know, I guess.
Yeah.
And like try to help each other as good as we can.
Absolutely, I totally agree with that. What do you think is or what are your thoughts on the current state of the music industry, especially regarding like streaming services, social media? Yeah, what is your thought on that?
Absolutely shit.
That's quite a strong reaction. Let's go deeper.
To be honest, like, this is what also like sometimes like you just you just don't know how to deal with it in a way. I don't know, like it's just such a, because as a DIY artist, like you do everything yourself. It's quite a lot to put yourself into, you know, like are you gonna get the playlist on Spotify when you release it? Who do I need to contact? You know, like even though I have a distributor and everything, you know, like I feel like Spotify, they just chooses who they want. Like once you get in with their good playlisting and everything, I guess you can get more. But they don't give any chances to new artists. I feel like it's just like really hard. Like, and also same with like finding like gigs, booking agents. Like, it's for me, it's like impossible. Like, it's really hard. Like the music industry sucks big time. Like,
but still. But still, we still want to pick up our instruments and dive into it. You know, it's
but I do it for the people. I don't do it for like the industry. It's not like, you know, like I get so much love from the people who's listening to music. So like if it's like even if it's one person or 10 people or 100, you know, like it just makes me happy to see they feel something.
Yeah,
with what I have created, you know.
This is a recurrent thing that I've heard in the interviews that I've done outside of his channel and musicians I've worked with. Yeah, the humility is there. We don't mind if it's just 1, 10 or 100, but it seems that the higher channels of the music industry want us to kind of get tucked in and stuck with vanity metrics.
but it looks like sounds like your approach is, this is music you're drawing from personal experience. You're composing because there's a need within you to compose, and that's a skill you possess. And if it just benefits one person, you're okay with that. But if you say 100 people turn up to your show, even more the better.
Of course. But but also it is a work in progress. The more you release, the more people will hear about you. There's also one thing good about Spotify is the more people that follows you, every time you release something new, it shows up on their release radar. So you pitch it and then it shows up, even though it's kind of like an algorithmic playlist, but at least they know about a new release and stuff. So there is some good things, but mostly I'm not a big fan of the music industry in general.
Well, I think even a lot of the most successful musicians aren't there. Musicians tend oftentimes to be a little bit of the renegades and, slightly anti-capitalist. And so we won't be the first and we won't be the last. But on the subject of playlist, Cupchairs, have just launched our Through the Lens playlist. As I say, it's only just launched, but we're obviously going to stick you on it and push it around
Thank you.
in as many corners as we can. Anything that we can do to help. So what's next for Ray Noir?
Secret. No, I am working on some new music already. I can't really tell you too much about it because there's something,
Okay.
But something exciting, hopefully.
Well, if it's top secret, that means it's going to be top notch. That's if it's really good, you don't want to tell anyone about it. This is the view that I formed, so I can't wait to hear it whenever it arrives. But the good thing to hear is that despite obviously, the music industry being a tough cookie to crack, you have just released an EP and a Redux version of the EP, and you're still working on new material. So that alone pleases me enough. With everything that we've discussed, what would be your messages of advice, encouragement, or empowerment to a musician that's either on the brink of doubt or potentially giving up or just starting out their journey?
Well, I would say don't give up. Don't get fooled by the industry. A good tip I got when I was starting from a good friend of mine who works in the music industry in the management, very successful one. She said, create your own label. Don't sign to a bigger label. Sit with your own rights. Don't give your rights away, because you can rent them out for a 5-year time or something, but don't sell them for forever. So that was a good tip for me. So I don't have a label. I don't feel I need it. So until the right person, the label comes in and say, hey, there's lots of money. We will help you, Otherwise, I'm happy to do it myself. Get a distribution deal. You can also just upload it with DistroKid and everything now.
Exactly.
So it's very easy, but I know social media is very difficult sometimes with how it changes, but be consistent, upload, follow the reels and all that stuff. It does help. And I even for gigs and stuff, I send private messages to people that I know live in the city or are fans. I just say I'm having a gig, because they don't see everything on social media. So sometimes it's good to just do some marketing stuff and just push a little bit. I would say never give up if you really want it, there's space for us all.
That's cool. No, that's absolutely cool. It is a case of, if you don't ask, you don't get, so push yourself into someone's inbox. These things can, and often do, work out favorably,
Exactly.
On the, just swearing aside, actually, when you mentioned labels and how they're kind of changing, I'm seeing a lot of independent labels that are owned by artists actively promoting their content, but
Yeah.
what they're doing is they're forging a community of like-minded musicians around them.
Yeah.
I myself have a brutal metal label called Face Ripper Records.
Oh, nice.
I kind of do everything, but it's like there's no finances in it, there's no charges in it. It's just kind of creating this Trojan horse for everybody, where we pack
The
our
community building.
music collectively in, and then we go and push it places. And a lot of the record labels I've seen, but before it used to be the case of you're with us and only with us. So many
Yeah.
are now collaborating with other labels and allowing non-exclusivity. So the vibe is changing, and I think I think that's a benefit to the independent artist. But the music industry has got a long way to go yet, I feel.
Yeah, well, yeah, it definitely has. You know, like there's not much. You know, like, and I also feel like we are underpaid when we play gigs. You know, like we don't get fairly paid. You know, like so there is a long way to go, to be honest. You know, like people need to take us seriously, and like, you know, like this is our job. You know, so.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it is. I think I've burnt through those questions exceedingly fast. What is there anything else you want to add? I'm aware that you're playing the Underworld on the 7th of August, I think it is.
So I'm supporting Combi Christ at Underworld the 7th of August. Get tickets. I'm also playing a co-headline show in Oslo, in Norway. If anyone from Norway is there, the 31st of August at Revolver. And then I'm releasing, since I just hit over 100,000 streams on Scorpio Redux, so I'm releasing deluxe edition like in 2-3 weeks with a new remix and a bonus track.
Excellent.
So,
I look forward to that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll leave links to the events and your Spotify and all of that kind of stuff below.
Awesome.
Ray Noir, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much, and thank you for all the support.
Always, and I hope to catch up with you sooner. Perhaps even at that Combi Christ gig.
Please do.
We hope you enjoyed that interview. There's going to be many more of those coming along. In the meantime, go to our website, experience some fantastic memories, browse our collections, add our playlist through the lens to get an auditory taste of the visuals that we are creating, and don't forget to catch us on social media as well. Until next time, this has been In the Chair with Ray Noir.